Welcome to the Boyk Brief. I'm Desmond Strew, Marketing Director at the Charles E. Boyk Law Offices located in Toledo, Ohio. The Boyk Brief invites you to go into chambers with the attorneys of Boyk Law as we explore real legal cases, talk to fascinating people in our area, raise awareness about community initiatives, and share helpful information about protecting yourself and those you love. Today we're in the studio with Andrea Young to talk about a very critical need in our area. Hello, Andrea.
Hi, Desmond.
Oh, well, I'm so excited to talk with our honored guest, and I think you have an introduction for her.
Yes, today we're honored to have Wendy Huntley with us. Wendy is the president of Connecting Kids to Meals, Inc., a nonprofit organization in Northwest Ohio that works to provide hot, nutritious meals at no cost to at-risk kids ages 18 and under in low-income and underserved areas. I believe since the organization began in 2002, they have served more than 7 million meals to hungry children in Northwest Ohio. Yes, Wendy became the Director of Development and Communication in March of 2016 and was named President in June of that same year. Since then, she has led the organization through significant growth, recently expanding their operations by building an industrial kitchen in the downtown Toledo and stepping up in a major way during the COVID-19 pandemic. Wendy, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Andrea and Desmond, for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
We're truly honored, and I have to say, I'm so excited to have you here because I've been aware of Feed Lucas County Children for years, and then when it became Connecting Kids to Meals under your leadership, I know so much. The mission is so critical and so wonderful, and I've even packed a few of those meals myself throughout the years. So,
awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's truly wonderful, and we truly appreciate all that you do.
Absolutely. Before we go too far down that path, and I do want to hear all about that, but Wendy, I want to learn more about you. So if you don't mind, can you give me a little bit of an intro on yourself and just start from the beginning? And
Sure. Well, on a wonderful day in October in 1965. No, I'm just kidding.
Sounds wonderful.
I was born here in Toledo, went to Notre Dame Academy, and left here and traveled just a little south and went to Bowling Green State University to get my undergraduate degree, and then I traveled just a little bit further down down south of here to Ohio State to attend law school at the Ohio State University College of Law. At that time, that's what it was called. So I know I'm dating myself, but I graduated from law school and then started practicing law with Bricker and Eckler, and I practiced there for about 12 years. And while there, started a consulting firm under the umbrella of the organization. And when we separated ways, then I continued on with that work with that firm, and I continue to do that today when I have a moment, along with serving as the president of Connecting Kids to Meals. So,
my goodness, you've been busy.
Yeah.
What was your undergrad? What would you major in?
I graduated with a degree in English education and a minor in political science. And my mother was an educator her entire life, was a professor at Bowling Green, and always told me to have a plan B, right? And so
Absolutely.
I knew from 8th grade really that I was going to be a lawyer, and always thought of what if I don't like this, because we didn't have any other lawyers in our family, and so I really wasn't sure what it was all about. And so her encouragement was really well placed. So I decided to get my teaching degree, and I thought, if I don't like law, I can always fall back and go teach lawyers, right?
Hey, I appreciate that. So Brickler and Eckler, was that your first firm that you had joined?
Yeah, I did a little bit of interning while I was in law school, and I interned with Bricker and Eckler my second year, and then ended up getting an offer. And so I went in and started working with them, and started doing corporate work and mergers, acquisitions, and intellectual property work, and then also did quite a bit of litigation in connection with insurance defense work, as well as contract litigation, all kinds of fun stuff. So I did all of those things, and then somehow, don't even know, but it was passion,
Yes.
found my way to doing some work in the sports and entertainment fields.
Very nice.
So wait, in 98, you had founded the SPEC group?
Yes, sports and entertainment consulting. So at the time, I was still a lawyer with Bricker and Eckler, and so I convinced them to allow me to start a consulting firm underneath the umbrella of the organization. And so we started doing that kind of work with sports and entertainment clients. And so then when we parted ways, I was able to leave with the organization because no one else had, a lot of experience working with that and entertainers and athletes. And so it was quite an easy ask to say, keep your money, give me the company.
Sure, absolutely.
With the clients, and I'll just take this book of business.
It's amazing, from what I know about law and lawyers, it's amazing to have had so many specialties in the field of law.
Yes.
It's I think a testament to the breadth of your knowledge.
Well, I appreciate that. I think it's just that I get bored quickly. So it was a way to keep me busy, right? But yeah, just a glutton for punishment.
Well, speaking of glutton for punishment, you then got into nonprofit work, which I know from my personal experiences can be quite challenging.
Yeah, when I left the firm, I actually started working at my church ministry, and I was working with my pastor. And our organization, our ministry had two churches, one in Columbus that had about 3,000 members, and then another church in Roanoke, Virginia with about 900. And there were some structural and operational issues, and so I started working with my pastor and helping to address those issues, and at the same time started doing a lot of outreach initiatives in Columbus, and really found that a lot of kids there were dealing with the same thing, childhood hunger and a lot of homelessness and a lot of folks that were just in need. And so it was really helpful in getting a back to school blast event started, and it ended up being the largest in Northwest Ohio. We were giving away about 5,000 backpacks and all kinds of fun stuff, and had games for the kids and food and health fair, and just really expanded that event. And so I kind of got bit by the bug while I was there. Then I returned back to Toledo. My father was ill at the time, and so I came back to help my mom and my sister. And so in doing that, really had an opportunity to kind of jump into the nonprofit sector here, and found my way specifically into childhood hunger side of things.
Yeah, that's amazing. Now, as I understand, you became the Northwest Ohio Regional Director of Children's Hunger Alliance in 2011?
Yes. So when I returned here in 2011, I was actually just, again, wanting to get involved in community, and found that there was a real significant challenge with childhood hunger, and they were expanding. Children's Hunger Alliance was expanding into this particular region. They're a statewide organization that's based in Columbus. And so aside from really enjoying doing the work that I was doing and overseeing the work in connection with 17 counties in Northwest Ohio, I also got to go back home and on the dime of the company, because I got to,
that's true.
Right, I got to go back home to Columbus and see my friends and my church family and all that stuff on a regular basis, because we had meetings and things going on in our headquarters, and so I was able to actually be in both locations and be here to support my family, but also have a chance to kind of reconnect with my folks in Columbus. So it was a perfect segue for me. And then after about 4 years, had an opportunity to be over here with, at that time, Feed Lucas County Children, and doing some development work. And so it just kind of evolved and grew from there, and opportunities just took place because this issue, while it was bad when I got back here, it continued to get worse because of just, parents and families being unemployed and underemployed. Those are really the real catalysts for the challenges at the time.
Absolutely. Well, and thank you so much for sharing about you and your journey from Notre Dame Academy all the way through to up until today. And but one of the things I really would love to learn more about is the organization itself and what Connecting Kids to Meals does. Like, I love the name, by the way.
Yes.
Because some nonprofits, you're like, what is this? There's just a lot of flowers and some interesting names. You don't really know what they do.
Right.
The name says it all.
There's no question.
Yes.
Yeah, we're really fortunate. One of our board members, Whitney Rothkar from Thread Marketing, I had been talking about a refresh of our organization's logo, and then at the same time we were expanding. And so when you take Feed Lucas County Children, number one, it sounds like a governmental agency, right?
It does.
Yes.
So people didn't really want to give donations, and it was really difficult to get support. And so I looked at that name and I said, we've got to do something different, but at the same time we were also growing. And so I didn't want to limit it to just Lucas County, because we were then at that time in Wood County and looking at even beyond to actually address the childhood hunger issues that were prevalent and continue to be prevalent even today.
So can you give us a sense, like, overview, a bird's eye view of the organization and what you guys do on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so, overall, we are operating 2 federal child nutrition programs so that we're able to bring healthy meals, give access to healthy meals to kids throughout the entire year. And so we partner with schools and libraries and community centers and faith-based organizations, and in the summertime, all the folks that do things in the parks and the pools and the city and county. We partner with any places where kids are gathering to make sure that they have access to meals, because the research tells us nutrition on a regular basis is critically important for kids. It's important for not just their obvious physical development,
right,
but it's important for their mental development, the development of their mind. And so when we look at the importance of making sure that they have access, and especially kids that are at risk have access, it is really to help position them for success. Absolutely. And so we leverage, those federal programs in order to make sure that we can use those dollars to feed kids. And so we partner with those folks, and if they're providing after-school programming or they're providing other programming, right now mental health is a big issue with our kids.
Sure.
We come alongside those organizations and make sure that the kids, while they're getting this great educational,
right,
enrichment, or fun activity, they actually have access to food so that they can maximize those opportunities.
Right. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. We all know that we feel better, we have more capacity to learn, we have more capacity to relate better to others when we're not hungry.
Exactly.
It's so easy to think that that's not a part of so many people's daily lives, and it truly is.
No question.
It really, I can just say I spent the first part of the day in a deposition, and afterward my brain's a fog without
Exactly.
getting a luncheon afterward, and I can't imagine what it's like to go almost all day without, having the proper nutrition and food, and it's heartbreaking.
Absolutely.
So there's 3 different programs. Is that how it's broken down, or?
We really have our after-school meal program, and we partner with those that are doing any sort of programming during the after-school hours, out of school time. And then we have our summer meal program. But what's a common theme through both programs is our weekend meal program. So when we really look at our programs, it's our after-school meal program, our summer meal program, and our weekend meal program. And so we're able to make sure that kids have access to meals 7 days a week. And so again, we're at libraries and Boys and Girls Clubs and the YMCA locations, and wherever kids are gathering, we want to make sure that we're there to make sure that they have access if they need it.
Now, do you do anything directly with schools?
We partner with our schools for some of our charter schools. We're doing some of the after-school work with our, public schools. We're, again, doing after-school work. And then when those schools end up finishing the school year, then we work together to make sure that their families know that we're in these particular locations around the community, so that their students can have the information that they need in order to access meals. When you look at some of our school districts and the challenges that they're facing, Toledo Public Schools, our largest school district here in this area, has about 90% of the kids that qualify for what are called free or reduced meals, which means those are families that qualify for some subsidized help because they live at or below the poverty line. And you look at Sylvania, they've got a large number of kids that qualify, 40%-ish.
Wow, that's surprising.
You got Oregon with a large percentage. Some of their smaller elementary schools, one of them has about 68%. You look at Rossford, you look at Springfield, they have pockets of families that are challenged. And even out in Maumee, 33%. 33% of the kids qualify. So all these stats, though, that I'm sharing with you today, that's all pre-COVID.
Yes.
Right? Those are all numbers that are pre-COVID, and so we know they're worse. We're waiting for the state to issue their report that tells us what those new numbers are. They've had a little bit of challenge trying to gather that data and get it all complete. Obviously, we've had something called a pandemic going on. So they've been a little busy, right?
Right.
I can't even imagine how things were different or changed for you during the pandemic. Can you tell me what you had to do different or how you had to, conquer that?
Yeah, Andrew, our basic model is that we set our menus. So we purchase our food, we prepare our food, we package it, and we deliver it to our sites. And then in some instances, we serve the meals. And so that whole process involved hot meals every day. We are known for being the provider of hot meals all throughout Northwest Ohio. Well, when the pandemic hit, that was a real challenge because, of course, it's easy to provide hot meals when the kids are coming from their classrooms to after-school programming, which is down the hall.
Right.
But now kids aren't in school. So how do we make sure that, we make available healthy meals and at times try to make sure that we provide hot meals? Well, immediately, just like everyone else, we're like, what in the world is going on? Right. So we started out being consistent with a lot of the school districts, and they were providing cold meals, sandwiches every day. And so after about 2 or 3 weeks, we knew we've got to figure something out. So my team sat down, and I'm really excited to say that we are actually doing 3 days of hot meal now.
Wow.
And we figured out creative ways to make sure that we keep things at the right temperatures and so forth. And so we are under the jurisdiction of the Ohio Department of Education and the Ohio Department of Agriculture. So we have to make sure that our food stays at the proper temperatures, above 140% and below 40% if we're talking cold items. And so we've had to buy additional equipment and shift, and as everybody else, pivot, change, and then try to adhere to our own safety protocols, not just in our kitchen and warehouse, but also at our sites. And so it's been a real shift, and just to kind of underscore the need in our community, last year we provided nearly 500,000 meals. This past year, which included COVID months, we provided over 875,100
Oh my God. I mean,
yeah.
And to think that you were able to almost, very nearly double the output while also dealing with all of these different other challenges as well is just astounding. Honestly, if you'd told me you'd been able to get the same amount out with all those challenges, I would have been really impressed.
Right.
Much less almost doubling it.
Yeah,
That is huge.
I literally sit here as a representation of my staff. My staff is amazing. I invite you guys and the listeners. When things kind of die down and we're able to visit and all that fun stuff, you've got to come and meet my staff. My staff is amazing, and they're so dedicated to what we do. My board gives us the freedom to be able to be creative and, to step outside the box and so forth. And so, from top to bottom, our organization is absolutely and 120% committed to doing everything that we can do to make sure that kids have access to meals.
How many do you have on staff?
Right now we have 45. We normally have about 25 to 28 during the school year.
Wow.
And then we balloon up in the summertime because remember, we go from being a supplemental provider during after school to the provider during the summer months. And so usually we balloon up to close to 100 employees in the summer. But we have kind of maintained right around that 40 to 45 year round. Ever since COVID started, I was a little hesitant to obviously bring additional people, too many people in, so that we couldn't be at a social distance in our facility. And so we've kind of maintained everything in kind of staggered times and work schedules and all that fun stuff so we could be as safe as possible. But we expect, I'm sorry.
No, where's your primary location at?
Yeah, we're really fortunate. We share and rent space from Cherry Street Mission Ministries down at the former Maycomber High School. And about 3 years ago, we together did some fundraising, and we built a state-of-the-art kitchen, which really enhanced both organizations' ability to provide meals and to address hunger in our community. And so I look back, and I'm just like, gosh, I'm so grateful that we were able to get that kitchen done, because I don't think that we would have been able to produce what we've been able to produce because we were using the original high school kitchen.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So you talk about a real challenge. So now we're in a really great situation of collaboration with Cherry Street, and we're grateful for that.
That's wonderful. So we've talked a little bit about where the trajectory pre-COVID, and then obviously have to make some shifts during the pandemic, but can you talk a little bit about your geographic range?
Yeah, Desmond, I'm really proud of what our organization was able to do from the time, about 4 years ago, kind of coincides with somebody else starting.
Yes.
About 4 years ago, I had the vision after being in Columbus and seeing what some other organizations were able to do. And knowing we're building this state-of-the-art kitchen, I said we could be not just a kitchen, but we could be a food distribution center all across Northwest Ohio, and I really believed that. And so we were able to expand into 5 counties, traveling all the way down to Findlay, traveling out to Spencer Township, and at times we have relationships with some folks over in Port Clinton and along the way, and just United Way over there in Erie County, and just really working with some folks to make sure that folks knew that if they needed help, we're there. And so from the summertime perspective, we literally 5,000, 6,000 meals a day.
Wow.
And so, just really looking at that opportunity to really help others, we were able to do that. But when the pandemic hit,
Right.
I mean, all bets were off. We needed to take care of home base. We needed to make sure, we know what's going on right here in Toledo.
Absolutely.
And then a lot of other school districts and some of those other counties and smaller locations, they were providing meals in the summer. Well, our school districts hadn't done that and just really weren't accustomed to that, and they were just kind of dealing with the pandemic, and so we were doing that. So we just stepped right in to our normal space, and so we kept it to just Lucas County when COVID first hit and last summer, but we've since then started to expand back into Wood County, down to North Baltimore, and fully expect to be expanding even further over the next couple of months as we get ready for summer.
Do you have any sense that there are families or communities that have become reliant on this program?
Absolutely. I talk to my servers on a regular basis, our delivery service team, and I just talk to them and ask them about, the families that they see on a regular basis. And many of them say that they see a lot of the same families, and, how grateful the families are that we've been there and able to help, because as we all know, when you're fighting and figuring out, I've got to pay rent, I've got to pay for my utilities, I've got to pay for gas in my car and my car insurance and health insurance and all these different things, food sometimes falls down the rung of priority. And so they know that we're there. They know that they can utilize our service if they need to. And so a lot of our servers absolutely see a lot of the same families that have been there since when COVID started.
Now, we definitely want to get into how people can help.
Yeah.
Families that are in need, how do they go about getting, signed up?
Yeah, if families are in need, we're at the libraries. Number one, they can visit our website and see a list of our locations every day. Currently, we're out there. We have later afternoon hours, kind of consistent with that after school time frame. And they can absolutely stop in. There's no identification required, no income eligibility forms or anything like that. Sometimes with other, hunger relief efforts, they may have to give that kind of information. But, our program is really designed for the kids. And so kids aren't carrying an ID, right? A 9-year-old is not carrying identification.
No.
Doesn't even, sometimes you might not even know the address and zip code, right? So that's how our program is set up, is so that, it's welcoming, and anyone can stop. Any of the kids can stop up to age 18 if they need to. And so the government, USDA, has made a few waivers to allow for parents, if their kids are in school and they want to make sure that they're getting something for after school, they can stop in and grab a meal for the kids after school. And so it's designed to try and make life easier for folks right now. We don't need to make things more difficult. The pandemic is doing that on its own. And so we're there. We're all around this community. We're all across the footprint of Lucas County.
That is incredible, and such a need. So many people are going through even harder times than perhaps they were in 2019, 2020. Now that those struggles continue, it is absolutely incredible that this organization is there to be that bridge for so many people. So what are some of the ways that people can, so if you've heard this, you've heard all about this, and you think, what an amazing organization, how, I want to get involved. Yeah. What are the best ways that people can do that?
People ask me all the time, and, one, Lord, please pray for us. No, but, share the information. People don't know that childhood hunger is a significant problem in our community. I think it's really gotten a little bit more attention as of late. But a lot of people are just like, is it really 1 in 4 kids? I'm like, 1 out of every 4 kids faces hunger, and that was pre-COVID. So I will not be shocked if that number has moved to 1 out of 3.
Wow.
There's about 30% of our kids in school that have fallen through the cracks.
Sure.
And so when you think of what that really means, hunger is a part of that. You know, unemployment's a part of that. Loss in education opportunities, all of those things are a part of that. And so share the information about the problem in our community. 2, talk about the things that we're doing. Share the information that you're hearing here today. We are here to help people. We are here to make sure that we're standing in the gap at a moment when folks need it the most. And obviously, we can always use donations. We're part of national buying groups, and so we're able to make your dollar go a lot further than if you were to go to the store and say, oh, I want to make a donation. First of all, we're running a federal program, so we can't take donated food. It makes it very difficult for us to do that.
That's good to know.
And so, you know, donations are always great. And so, you know, connectingkidstomeals.org, visiting our website, there's a secure way to make a donation. You can, you know, utilize our address there, mail a donation. If you want to come down and drop off a donation 6 feet from me, I'll say thank you. Appreciate your donation.
That's awesome.
But we utilize, the dollars in order to actually make sure that we're able to run these programs and fill the gaps. Because even though we're running federal programs and we do receive a federal reimbursement for every meal that's served, there's a gap of 50 cents. And so that's where we actually rely on contributions, and we write for grants, and we ask for corporate gifts and, you know, donations. And that's how we're able to fill that gap and actually make ends meet in order to continue to do the work that we're doing. So donations would be great. And we also have volunteer opportunities. So visit our website, again, connectingkidstomeals.org, whether it's now or whether it's when the weather breaks in the summer and you want to help, you know, pass out some meals. We're always looking for people to assist us with this very, very critical mission that we have.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And I will say that I know in the office we were very, very honored at the end of last year to make a minimal contribution to that. And it was astounding, but it also kind of broke my heart to realize the amount that we gave immediately doubled into numbers of children who were receiving a meal. And that was so eye-opening for me personally, just to realize it only takes 50 cents, a 50-cent contribution to make sure that there's another meal out there, another child isn't going hungry, at least for today.
Absolutely. And we're so grateful, you know, for you know, folks like yourselves, you know, like this firm stepped up and said, it's important. This is something that's important. Charles Boyk Farm said this is important. And so, you know, we appreciate that, and we appreciate whenever people are able to do that, because it means that we can be there for families in our community. And here's the irony of it all. We worked so hard. We had that down to 20 cents before the pandemic. And so, you know, I'm still happy and pleased that, you know, 50 cents, I mean, where you're going to find a great meal, check out, you know, go on our website and check out some of our menu items. But, you know, we give a full complimentary meal to kids, and you can't do that by 50 cents. Your contribution of 50 cents helps us to do that. But it's also important because it doesn't just help us to do that. It helps us to employ people. We are able to employ people right in our community and to make sure that they have meaningful employment. And again, shout out to my staff. They're some of the greatest folks around.
This is fantastic. I have a deep admiration for what you're doing through Connecting Kids to Meals. My kids went to Toledo Public. I've seen it firsthand, the kids that get left or fall through the cracks, and it's heartbreaking.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining us here. I know that you're doing critical work in our community, and I'm just, you know, hopefully we can help in any way that we can.
Well, being on here today and helping us to, you know, share with your listeners what we do is a huge step in the right direction for us. So thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. And once again, the website is connectingkidstomeals.org, and that link is going to be on our website and then also in the description of this podcast. So if you're hunting for it, it'll be right there. And Wendy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you both, Desmond and Andrea. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Boyk Brief. Tune in next time for more stories of law and life.